Hey, Giuseppe, coming out of the bye week, how fired up are you guys to get back after it and go after Rice on Saturday?
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me. Super excited to get out there and go play some football again. We, coaches took care of us on the bye week, and we got all our arrows pointed on Rice. Super excited, especially after how we didn't perform last year against these guys. Everyone's itching to play these guys.
You guys, of course, practice against a lot of triple option. What makes their new triple option that you've seen on film unique?
Um, you know, with Coach Chronic, we're seeing a bunch of unique stuff all the time. So any option team, it's not really we're not going to see anything we haven't seen before. But I will say these guys got some talent on the offensive side of the ball. They got some guys who can move. They're just good athletes. So that's a little different feel, than a traditional CIC game. When you're going in. But these guys are pretty good.
How do you like the way the defensive backfield's coming together? You guys have really grown, it seems, through each game.
Yes, sir. I mean, I'm enjoying it a lot. Obviously, we didn't have the success that we wanted to, early on, particularly, in the VMI or UAB game. At least, putting it all together for the full 4 quarters. And we're going to continue to improve and get better at that. But, I'm just super excited and like happy that we got guys in safeties and corners room who are just like having fun and, excited to go play ball and just doing it with each other.
Thanks.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
To remind everyone, we'll do 3 questions each first time through. Tim Nolan.
Hey, Seppi, want to talk about your speed because I know you caught a lot of coaches' eyes with the miles per hour you were clocking earlier during this offseason. Is there anybody on this team that can beat you in a race?
I don't know. I don't know if I'd say that. Nathan Kent, he's a pretty fast guy. And Braxton Woodson, I think those guys, they might have a shot.
You growing up in San Antonio, did you ever get a chance growing up to watch Rice maybe play at UTSA or any of the other schools around you?
No, I have, like you said, being from San Antonio and just being a big college football fan, definitely got to see Rice play a little bit. Great academic school as well. So, always kind of thought about like as a young kid, oh, maybe I could go play football there. But no, yeah, I got a chance to see them play.
So why Navy? I mean, you grow up in one of the biggest high school and college football hotbeds in America, and yet you wound up here and you've thrived here at the Naval Academy. What was it about this place that really drew you?
Obviously I grew up, I knew what the Naval Academy was. I didn't know everything that this place entails, and no one really truly does until you experience it for yourself. But once I saw what this place was really about, like really wasn't a question. And then part of it too, I kind of say like, why not, place down there in Texas? Well, based on, what I had at the time, Rice they didn't want me, you know what I mean? So it's having that edge, especially, going playing these guys, like, just to really show them like what they missed out on. But at the same time, like looking back, like even if I did have all these offers, down south, like this place is unlike any other, and I'm super happy that I'm in the position that I am right now.
Thanks, Evan.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Wyatt Kopelman.
Hi, Giuseppe. Going off of that, I mean, did you know, or did your college coaches know that this team would play Rice last year, at least going back to high school? Did they know that this team would be playing down at Rice in Houston last year?
Are you talking about Navy coaches?
Oh no, I'm sorry, high school coaches.
High school coaches?
Yes.
I'm not sure, to be honest with you.
Rice would have joined the conference later.
Yeah. I don't think they knew that. But things come full circle, so I'm super excited for that.
Do you think they'll be watching this year at all, even though this game's in Annapolis?
I think so. I hope so. We'll see after the game. Who's texting and calling and all that stuff.
And now that you've been starting at safety, you're part of a defense that involves a lot of different first-time starters. Julian Mudame is starting at defensive end. He had a big play against Tulsa. How did you decide on playing safety as your football career developed in high school?
Yeah. First and foremost, like I consider myself like an athlete in any sport, and just trying to be like a good teammate and help the team out in any way you can. And that's really how I became a safety. I thought I was going to be a receiver catching touchdowns and all that stuff, as I'm sure pretty every DB in America does. And then at some point, the switch happens, and then you just embrace it, and you fall in love with the position.
Did you ever imagine your college career would eventually have you playing for a service academy and starting with a ton of different players that Coach Volker thinks bring a ton of attributes to this defense?
Not in a million years that I think I would have ended up at a place like the Naval Academy when I was in high school. Funny enough, my dad had mentioned it a couple of times, like he could see me at a service academy, and I guess my pops was right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Speaking of receivers, Luke Hutcherson may want to throw his name in there.
I know. I was thinking of him, but I wanted to make him come talk to me afterwards and be like, "Why didn't you mention me?"
Flags.
Wanted to talk about how the pass defense was improved against Tulsa. You mentioned in the first two games you all gave up some yardage. What did you feel? What enabled you all to play so much better in terms of pass defense against Tulsa?
Yes, sir. I think at the end of the day, it just comes down to the fundamentals. You look in the first two games where we kind of gave up some plays here and there, and it really wasn't. We just didn't play with good fundamentals. Our eyes were in the right spot, or weren't in the right spot. Didn't have great footwork. Our coaches put us in great positions to make plays, and we just didn't execute. And so I think we did a little bit of a better job against Tulsa in that regard. But that's something we're going to have to continue to improve on, and we've been putting a lot of emphasis in the bye week and this week, and just moving forward the rest of the season.
Obviously, with three first-time starters back there, we're gonna be some growing pains. But I mean, do you think all of you are growing up together? I mean, you got two sophomores, Philip and Justin, out there at the corner spots. You're a first-year starter. Do you think it's just a group that will grow and mature as the season goes along?
Yes, sir. Of course, and that's the beautiful thing about it is we got some guys who are very capable and love playing the game and love doing it with each other. So I'm super excited about our growth, but we're going to continue just to go out there every day, and as players, we're not really looking too much in the future as far as what our potential is down the line. We're just kind of more focused on tough Tuesday practice today. And going and beating Rice. And I think if we continue to have that mindset, I think we'll end up just fine.
Coach Volker and Coach Newberry had talked about communication. Apparently that was a big topic last week, was improving communication across the board with the defense. And you being on the back end and having to make a lot of calls, can you talk about how important it is to get that straight?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Communication, got to get the play. Got to know what you're doing, and everything really stems from there. If we have 11 guys playing the right call, we'll be fine. If one guy is playing something else, disaster could happen. And even if we're in a call that may not be perfect for whatever the offense is doing, as long as we're all on the same page, with our fundamentals, we'll end up just fine. So. It's really just about being on the same page, especially on the back end. Can't have any miscues there.
Wags, I would argue we have 4 first-time starters in the secondary. Duhart was a starter, but at a different position. So, Luke Jackson.
Hey Giuseppe, how are we doing? So how would you describe high school football in Texas to someone who doesn't know anything about it other than watching Friday Night Lights?
I'd say that's a pretty good representation right there. Now, it's to me growing up, football was everything. My parents didn't let me play till later, or later than most kids, but everyone has some sort of vested interest in football, and the school kind of revolves around it a little bit. And so I'd say the games, like we played in Tulsa last week, and that I felt like I was getting ready to play a high school football game just in pregame warmups. Like it was kind of like that same feel. Um, I'd say that's probably the best way I can explain it to you.
So how does that help prepare you for the Naval Academy?
Oh, for sure. As far as playing football goes, when you're playing in front of big crowds, opposing student sections are looking you up before the game and screaming a bunch of stuff about your mom or your girlfriend at you. You kind of prepare yourself, just so like to block out the noise and just go play football. And we go into some places and fans get a little rowdy, and just being able to channel those emotions into just doing your job, is definitely, I think, a skill, and it comes with experience. So being able to play in like those environments, and then come to college, come to Navy, and just be able to block out the noise or channel it into doing your job is definitely helpful.
So once you get to Navy, the process of developing as a defensive back at the Naval Academy, I'm not at your practices. I assume that you're not facing like the air raid. So how do you develop as a defensive back when you're probably facing a run heavy offense in practice when you're going to face teams that throw a lot in your conference?
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's something we have to keep in mind. Particularly in spring ball or fall camp. When we're going against our offense, just because certain things change with our footwork, and how we play certain coverages. But our offense they'll cater to us sometimes too. And when you got guys like Eli Heidenreich, Luke Hutchison, Nathan Kent, Brandon Chapman, like guys who can really move and can run. Isaiah Bryant, another guy. Those guys are shifty, all over college football. So they're out there and they're running all these routes, and it's good practice for us because, quite honestly, like I think some of the guys that I just named, they could go play anywhere else in the conference and dominate as well.
Right.
So I definitely think I definitely understand your question, and it does change some things, but I'd already argue that it helps us. We have to be super disciplined with our eyes and focused on our job and not trying to, go make a play. Our coaches kind of preach to us, just do your job and the plays will come to you. So I think that helps us.
Thank you.
And Luke, what Giuseppe described is in the spring and fall camp. Once the season starts, we have a scout team. We actually have scout teams that are running the other team's offense. So they're not going against our offense this week. They're going against Rice offense. So outside of Rice, Air Force, and Army, they are facing passing. The scout team is running the other team's offense.
Right.
Scott Wyckoff. You're muted, Scott. You're muted.
Sorry about that. How do you like the fact that you've had Coach Lewis now going on 3 years for you transitioning to the safety position and had the familiar voice of him all along the way?
Oh, Coach Lewis is amazing. He's super knowledgeable. Just pours into us a lot. He's been around the block, been to a lot of places, knows a lot of football, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he's coached us, the longest of any, I guess, group of kids that he's had. So just being able to have that relationship with Coach Lewis super important. Um, Definitely, when you're out there, obviously you want to succeed, for your teammates, yourself, the team, but also it's just that added. I want my coach to put some food on his table for his family and have that security. Um, so I really enjoy having Coach Lewis as a position coach. Uh, Super smart, and he's helped me tremendously, especially this past offseason, just trying to get into the playbook and becoming four-dimensional player.
And how cool is it to have a head coach who was a defensive back like yourself? Does Coach Newberry come by on occasion and give you a little idea of what he wants to see out of you?
Yes, sir. Exactly. If you go out and watch practice, sometimes Coach Newberry he'll watch the DBs and the safeties in particular, and kind of watch from afar. And then, Coach Newberry, he's a cool cat. He'll walk up to you, catch you, and tell you exactly what you need to hear and what he needs to say, and then he'll disappear. Um, so yes, sir. Yeah, it's awesome. He'll come in our meeting room sometimes, and um, it's very rare that a head coach will ever come into a meeting room and install something like that. Happened one time, in the spring. So just that investment into our room, I think that's paying dividends, and I think y'all will see that in the weeks to come.
Talking last week to your fellow San Antonian, Jackson Gutierrez, he said he's a Me Tierra guy. What's your
I,
go? What's your go-to in San Antonio for
I,
Texas?
I love that place. That's an amazing place. Go to if you've been to San Antonio and you haven't had Bill Miller's. I mean, that's me. That is probably a generic answer, but um, any of you guys go down there, got to get some Bill Miller tacos.
That's a good call. Thanks.
Yes, sir.
The American schedule for next year is coming out here in the next couple of weeks, and I would love to be going to UTSA next year. It would be a great trip.
I would love that as well.
I know you would. Let's see, Tim Nolan.
Seb, you've now been through your fair share of bye weeks at the Naval Academy. Where have you found the most success in utilizing that time off and then getting ready for a game 2 weeks in advance?
That extra week is huge, particularly like taking care of your body, and then just you have so much more time to prepare for the opponent. Um, get to know your opponent a little more, but then also it's the Naval Academy, right? We have exams this week, so being able to have the time to get ahead in school, being able to learn your opponent a little more, being able to recover your body. I think the bye weeks are huge for us.
And what's it like for you as a safety going into a matchup against Rice where, given the offense they run, they're going to be keying on your linebackers? You as a safety, you're going to be asked to scrape over a lot, come up and make the play at the point of attack. It's a little different responsibility from taking on a passing offense. What's that like for you and how you feeling?
No, I actually enjoy it because you get to bump the pads a little bit more. Um, but we can't get too carried away with ourselves. Stressing and trying to make plays. This game, it's all about our eyes, having perfect eyes, and just playing accordingly, and just taking or watching our key and following our key. I think that's going to be the biggest deal for us as safeties and corners. Um, and if we do that, we'll be just fine because our front seven they're a pretty good group, and we'll be able to lean on them. And when it's their turn to lean on us, we got to be there.
That's Seppi. If you don't mind, can you just expand on when you say use your eyes? What are you looking for as your quarterback in that secondary back there with Duhart?
I don't want to give too much away, but when we're reading our keys, our keys will unlock the door. So um, the guy that I'm keying or the guys that I'm keying, once they're, they block, they release, they do X, they do Y, whatever it is. I'm just worried about my job. The play can be going away. I'll react to that after the fact. But that's, you go watch all these, because we're treating this as a CIC game. You watch all these CIC games, it's not really won in the running game. It's these games are won, on the, there's 30 runs in a row, and then they got that one pop pass that changes the game. And on the back end, that's what we're worried about. We're worried about that pop pass. We're worried about, that 30th play after they just ran the ball, 29 times before, that pass play. We got to be ready for that. So we can't get lulled to sleep, and have to have perfect eyes.
I like that. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Wyatt Kopelman.
Giuseppe, this is a defense that has the leading run defense in the American and has made a noticeable improvement from last season in stopping the run. How would you describe the process of learning what it takes to start at safety and be a big member of stopping the run on first and second downs right now?
I mean, I didn't even know that. I'm sure Coach Volker's super pumped about that, but we don't really talk about that stuff a whole lot. But it, like I said, it's kind of just what they're stressing to us is doing your job like one play at a time, or I should say dominating your job one play at a time. And I think when you do that, it really simplifies the game, and then it also just makes it able to accomplish it more. I don't know if I'm putting that in the right sense. Just going 1-0 each play, and then you look up at the end of the game, and Navy's got more points than the opponent. And at the end of the day, that's our goal. Yeah, I didn't even know that stat.
How much do you still lean on veteran leadership, whether it's Pierce, Robinson, other seniors in this defense, to learn other ways that you can be better in what you do, as you mentioned, going 1-0 on future plays?
Yes, sir. Yeah, those guys been playing a lot of football, and as someone like me, I'm always trying to learn from those guys and their successes and their failures. And like the biggest things that I take away from guys like Landon, from guys like Luke, um, from Jackson Campbell or Kenny McShann, even Andrew Duhart, the preparation that goes into these games, and how they prepare, in the film room, how they take care of their bodies, how they just live the right way, you know, academically in the hall. And I truly, just watching those guys, I truly believe that if you have your stuff in order, uh, things will just come more easily for you. And so I say that's the biggest thing I've taken away from those guys, and I continue to lean on those guys, and I hope one day some of my teammates can lean on me in that same regard.
And as you mentioned, the importance of leaning on each other for support and a certain level of knowledge about defending well as a team. How has your confidence grown over the first three games as a starting safety in the American right now?
My confidence has grown, particularly in situations where we've had our backs up against the wall, especially as a defense, like we talked about. This really, particularly the UAB game, uh, not really getting a stop in the first half, and then being able to come around and not give up any points in the second, um, and being able to have your back up against the wall, and then figuring out a way to come out on top, get stops, and finish the game the way we did, against a team who they got some guys who can play. I think they scored the same amount of points on Tennessee that they did on us. So that makes us think we can really play with anyone. Now let's get our fundamentals right and clean up the first half, and the games don't have to be close.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Wags.
Giuseppe, can you talk about the responsibility of wearing the green dot and having to get the play calls from Coach Volker and to get your teammates on, get that communicated to your teammates?
Yes, sir. Yeah, especially in our home games. It gets loud on there sometimes when we're out on defense. So getting the signals, getting the calls sometimes can be a challenge, and it's my responsibility just to communicate and to echo the call. Uh, if a guy doesn't get the signals, I gotta make sure he gets the call, so we can all be on the same page and be playing as one unit.
Do you do a lot of talking back and forth with Coach Volker? Does he ask you what you're seeing, stuff like that? Is there conversation?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we'll come to the sideline, and normally they'll have plays for us, and being able to watch the film on the sideline, is huge. So as in a game, you're seeing things, through a keyhole. You know what I mean? You're not seeing everything like you're on TV. So being able to talk to them and say, hey, this is what I'm seeing, and then us being able to watch the film and see this is what's happening over here, and this is what they're trying to do. It's huge. So then next drive we come out, we're prepared.
In that regard, do you like having Coach Volker down on the sideline? Because we've been discussing this the last couple weeks about him choosing to coach from the sideline as opposed to the press box, like a lot of coordinators. But is it helpful that you can go just talk to him directly?
Yes, sir. Of course, and I think Coach Volker, if he hasn't told you, I'll tell you, he's a pretty juiced up, fired guy, and I think he belongs on the sideline. He feeds off that energy, and he also gives that energy on the sideline. So it's super helpful, and I enjoy having him on the sideline, being able to talk to him and communicate with him.
Thanks. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Luke.
I think actually I do have one. Giuseppe, is there like one moment from your high school career in Texas that um that you really think back on as like like a defining moment for you?
Defining moment. Um, if I had to pick one, I'd say my first game of my senior year. We played Smithson Valley, which is where Gavin Woods went to high school. We played him in the Alamo Dome where UTSA plays, and it's unfortunately Smithson Valley and Gavin's team won that game. Um, but I remember like I was committed to Navy at the time, and I was super like excited, from the last season of high school football, and that was that season. I just went out there and played like with no fear of failure, just like having fun with the kids, you grow up with, and that was like the start of a pretty good season for me, and my team, and we played some. They had some good cats over there, so I and had a block punt and couple of big hits, and that felt good.
Cool. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
We just have a couple minutes left. Giuseppe, how important has your parents been to your journey here at the Naval Academy? I know they're very supportive. They've come to most, if not all, the games. But just tell us a little bit about their support and how that's helped you here.
Yes, sir. People like there's like kind of this notion, I guess, in pop culture about people who are self-made, and like I'm anything but self-made. It's like it's really all my parents. My father just pouring into me. Like he's super hard on me. He's my biggest fan, but also my biggest hater, as I'd like to say. Uh, he he really makes sure that um, I got my head on straight, and I'm have the right priorities. And my mother, she has that same drive for me, but she's a little bit more compassionate. And so, but together, like they're both super supportive of me. And without them, I wouldn't even be able to be at a place like the Naval Academy. I don't know, where I'd be or the type of person that I'd be. Super thankful for them. And, coming to a place like the Naval Academy, I hope one day I'm able to show some sort of repayment for my parents in that regard. Just, being able to thank them for like the amazing life that they've given me. So I'm super excited. Hopefully they come up to a few more games this year, and I'm able to give them a couple wins and make some plays for them.
And then lastly, grew up a Notre Dame fan. Your grandfather played football at Notre Dame. It's down the road a little bit, but you will get an opportunity this year to play in South Bend. 2 years ago, we played Notre Dame in Ireland, so this will be the one trip to South Bend. How excited are you about that future game?
I'm super excited about that. As even if you're not a Notre Dame fan, that stadium it's holy ground in college football, and especially in my family too. It's I'm going to have so many people at that game, and just hoping to beat Rice this weekend, and then once we go play Notre Dame, I'll be super excited and super focused on that one.
All right. Thanks a lot. Thanks, everyone. We'll be back at 2:30 with Coach Volker. Thanks, Giuseppe.
I appreciate y'all. Have a good one.